Everyone, thank you for joining us for our first ever self-care event, New Year, Now You. We're very excited to talk to Genevieve Padalecki today as our keynote interview. Genevieve is an actor, entrepreneur, mother of three, and also founder of the lifestyle blog Now and Jen. Thank you so much for joining us, Genevieve.
Thanks for having me.
So, has the definition of wellness changed for you during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I think the definition of myriad things have changed for me and I'm sure for everyone have changed during the pandemic. I think that before the pandemic, I really feel like at least I was powering through everything and wellness was a whole other story. And now I feel as though I'm confronted with self-care and having to really pay attention to my needs because we're sort of in this box and this bubble and trapped in our homes and having to parent and mother and partner and also work and feed ourselves all under one roof without really leaving. So I feel like the need to really take care of myself has significantly been highlighted, I suppose, or like the need to take care of myself is really all the more significant. I feel like I think I can recognize it a lot more than before.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The whole world has really slowed down. We've all been feeling that. You've written on your blog about taking certain things from 2020 with you and then leaving others behind. Tell us about that.
You know, I really, for a long time, I felt as though I was powering through, and I'm really into accomplishments and working, and I really love to try new things and tackle it and accomplish it. And I think for me, I really realized that those things are great, but as long as they're feeding and fueling me, and for me, moving into 2021, I really want to move into it with less and more self-fulfillment, more listening to people, like really listening. I thought I was a good listener before, but you know, when you're surrounded by your family and you're around them all the time, I realized when I was around them all the time that I wasn't as good of a listener as I could have been. And so moving into 2021, I really want to be a better listener. I want to do a lot less and work smarter, not harder. And I know that's a pretty common saying, but that's what for me really stands out with 2021.
Interesting. I read on your blog about a screen time diet that you are hoping to do. When I wanted to check in, how's that going for you?
It's good. I mean, I will admit there have been a few times where I've downloaded, you know, how you can download the timer or it says how long you've been on your phone. And when I first started it, I was like, oh, this is BS. And I would delete it and like try to move, you know, not want to confront the fact how much I'm on my phone. But, you know, I think what it is, it's habits and creating healthy habits and really being in tune with that ding or that need to check in. And what I've started doing is actually leaving my phone at home. So if I'm carpooling in the morning or in the afternoon, or if I leave my house, I'm trying to leave my phone at home a lot more so that I don't even have that impulse. And I've also recently purchased a different kind of phone, which is like really small, and it's supposed to help prohibit you from actually being on your phone. And listen, we all have to be digitally connected. It's kind of the only way right now that we're able to connect with each other. And in the future, I don't really see that going anywhere. It's kind of the way of the future, really. And we're sort of setting these trends. But I think we just really need to be aware of what those habits are and just creating healthy habits. And that has really stood out for me, and just going back to like the listening and really being present and listening more, which means for me that there is a time and place to be checking my phone, and there is nothing right now that needs my complete attention, you know, that I need my phone on me. So what's in front of me is what I'm really trying to focus on and being really present.
Those are two really good tips that I'm definitely going to try. I've never actually tracked my screen time on my phone. So I'm totally going to look that up after this call.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking.
And uh, leaving your phone behind. Very good tips. Anyway, so what's the best piece of self-care advice you've ever received?
That's a great question. As far as self-care, when I was younger, I got great self-care from my mom, and it was more vain things like make sure that you always moisturize your hands and your neck first. Kind of don't neglect them because they always show your signs of age, which is more superficial self-care stuff. But the real self-care is to feed yourself. And it's again another generic saying, but I really love the saying about putting your oxygen mask on first. And I think being a parent, for me, that was really difficult to listen to and lean into because it felt so self-serving and it felt like, well, my kids come first, my family comes first, I need to come second. But I really feel strongly that if you don't nurture yourself and take care of yourself, you're gonna be a terrible partner, a terrible parent, it's a terrible friend. You really have to be okay being selfish with yourself and nurturing yourself. And funny enough, one other thing, and sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but this morning I was actually listening to a podcast and it was on, it's called Ologies, and I love it. And it was about economics, funny enough. But one of the leading economists or economic experts was saying, don't be afraid to quit. And I thought that was so interesting. And I think that goes in with nurturing yourself, because I think so often we're driven as a community and society to keep on moving and like push through it. You started something, you finished something. And looking at it from an economic perspective, which is, looking at it marginally and where this is my baseline and how is this serving me, and using it in an economic way and going like, can I quit this and then pivot and move in a different direction? Is that going to help me and make me feel better? Do I have to power through this just to power through it? So I really, that for me, like really hit home, and I feel I'm going to really start using that one more often as well.
Interesting. So I know during the pandemic for me, it's been hard to work out, or at least harder. I personally love classes. Is there any workout that you've done during this time that's helped you get centered, that you would continue doing after the pandemic is over?
100%. I have loved all of the online classes that have popped up. One in particular is OpenFit. There's so many amazing classes that you can take with OpenFit and sort of fit your needs, from more high intensity to more meditation and calming things to, morning or night or the length of time. I also really enjoy Headspace, which is not necessarily exercise, but I really found that it's helpful to do as a family. I do it with my children. I also really like another app called Wave, which you can buy a pillow that vibrates, and you can wear the headphones and you can kind of zone out wherever, which is also really fun. So I love all of those. Obviously, Peloton's great. Orange Theory, I haven't done their app, but I heard their online classes are cool too. So I love the fact that there are so many things that pop up. Oh, another one is Booty by Mish. She's a Vancouver workout instructor, and she's got one of the most amazing classes. If you ever want to get like an insane butt, her online classes are pretty amazing.
Lots of good tips there as well. So with all the responsibilities with your family and other demands, how are you finding the time and the space to do these classes?
That's a good question. Well, we get up really early, and I say we because my husband really started that habit of getting up super early. Like, so this morning we were up at 4:30 and working out way before the kids get up. So our schedule starts way before they wake up, and then we get all of our needs out before we go get them. And so it just kind of helps us center and kind of just get ready. Like we've accomplished a couple of things before our day and before we get the kids up. And I really feel like that has really helped us. It's not for everyone. 4:30 is an ungodly hour to get up. And it sometimes is like gross. Why am I up this early? But it's one of those things that I really feel like helps us set us up for more success throughout the day and healthier habits.
So you've been working out with your husband during this time?
Not at the same time, but at the same time, but not necessarily the same classes. He's really into Shanti lately. So he's been doing a lot of Shanti classes, and then I'll be like in another room and I'm doing, open fit or going for a jog or something else. But yeah, usually we're up around the same time because it's really hard for us to get up and not wake up the other person, unfortunately.
So, we've all spent so much time with our spouses and our children during this pandemic. And I recently read an article in The Atlantic about how we're spending a lot of time with our close family and, keeping in touch with our close friends, but we're missing the more casual friendships, the relationship, the more like acquaintance relationships. And I'm wondering, are there any relationships that you've been craving? Like I personally know that I'm definitely craving a girls trip, and that when this is all done, I'm going to take a trip with my friends. So is there any kind of relationships that you feel like you're missing right now that you're excited to get back to once this is over?
Yeah, there are tons. I mean, I certainly miss my friends that are living on the coast. I feel like my friends in New York and California, I haven't seen in so long, and it kills me that I'm not with them. They're some of my best friends, and I crave that intimacy because I'm not great over the phone. I'm not the best when it comes to catching up on the phone. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging to have that intimacy. So I certainly miss my girlfriends and friendships that I'm not able to go see. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do. And the other thing, and my family, like my family and my close friends, that goes for both of them. But the other thing, and this is like so silly, but I'm kind of a loner, and I really miss being alone. And it's been a very, very long time since I've had any alone time. So I almost want to go on a solo trip, as weird as that sounds, but I really miss I just need to recenter just like 2 nights by myself and just kind of like get lost in the woods, and then I'll emerge eventually. But I miss that.
That sounds awesome. I also am somewhat a loner, and I do enjoy that personal time. But it can come with mom guilt when you do take that time. Do you feel mom guilt? And if so, how do you kind of manage that?
I feel it every day. I think mom guilt is inevitable, unfortunately, but I also feel that it's something maybe we're born with when we have children. It's just something it's like a hormone that just sort of happens or something. Because I certainly feel that there isn't a day where I feel some sort of guilt about how I didn't prep my kid well enough for this situation at school, or I'm not as present, or I'm not around, and I, no matter what, it's there. So I think by acknowledging that guilt and acknowledging that I'm making these choices. And I guess it kind of goes back to that podcast too, about the economics of the situation, which is so weird to think of it in those sort of terms, but just thinking about the gain that you'll receive from it in a selfish way. Like if I take this time for myself, or if I'm going to remove myself and I'm working on this, or if I need to take a day, if it is, I get to go on a solo and go on my own adventure for a day or whatever, is that going to feed me? And do I feel like by coming back, am I going to be a better parent? So I think of looking at it in those sort of terms of the gain from that and the return on that as well. So, I guess taking out the emotional aspect of it and removing, like, if we can look at guilt as something outside of ourselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I think moms, I know moms have felt burnout more than a lot of people during this pandemic. And I read about your new initiative to combat burnout among people and the world. So tell us about that and how that is helping moms.
That's a great question. I haven't even thought of it in terms of moms, but yes, I'm launching a company. It's called Town. It stands for Take Only What We Need. And this has been in the works for a couple of years now. And for me, I just felt a sense of burnout in general from, I guess it really stemmed from the fact that I was, trying to marry being a working mom from home and, being a present mom. And how do I do this? And how do I also be a good friend? And probably feeling like we're all feeling now, I feel like now even more so, it's like the spotlight is on all of these things. But I was feeling all these things, and for me, being more of a recluse, I really enjoy retreating in nature, and nature's been something that's always like fed me and made me feel like I can recenter myself. And it's also something I feel as a mother that I can do with my children with or without my partner there. So I really feel like nature is something that I can rely on as like a backup babysitter in a weird way. Like, let's go get lost. Let's go on a hike. Let's go, put this hammock up and we'll just kind of chill out and get some books and coloring books and stuff. And so I was thinking about that and that sort of symbiotic relationship that we have with nature, and wanting to figure out a way to sort of weave that into our own lives. And it goes back again to sustaining ourselves. And as a parent, and as a mother, I mean, who doesn't need more nurturing than moms? Everyone does for sure, but especially, being a mom. And so this new venture and this adventure that we're going on is a journey into sustainability and what sustains us first. And it bleeds over to moms and dads and kids and singles and whoever, but just how do we sustain ourselves and do that in a really positive, productive way with no doom and gloom involved, no, hey, the planet's dying, what are we going to do? But like, what are things that we can feed ourselves and make a positive impact so that we can make a more positive impact on our community at large and the planet?
Well, we look forward to hearing more about it. So closing off our conversation, I wanted to talk about working with your husband on Walker. Was it nice to actually have romantic scenes with your husband versus another actor?
Yes, 100%. It's always very uncomfortable to do a love scene, whether you're married or you're not married. It's never what it looks like, and it is acting. And even though these love scenes, that they're not necessarily love scenes, they're, kissing in a relation, just having a relationship on camera. For us, it's just easy because we already have that comfortability with each other, and there's no awkwardness or feeling like, like I know him very well and intimately, obviously, and vice versa. So for us, it's just really, it's trusting someone, and just, it obviously feels great. I love kissing my husband, so it's not too bad, not a bad gig.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Genevieve.
Thank you.
And I would like to end with, one thought that you shared with us today. I hope that this event was a moment for all of us to put on the oxygen mask and recharge and refill our wells. Thank you so much, Genevieve.